Hey fellow Purveyors, it's Angry Turtle, and in this video I had a plan to show you how exactly armor penetration works and what is worth to use and when it's not worth to add any armor penetration, but I discovered something that I need to share with you first. If you know, perforating magazine is supposed to be best option for damage and help with armor penetration. The best news is it just doesn't work. Not at all. And now I will just show you something. I did a lot of tests with all type of perforating, armor penetrating magazines. I was using perforating, piercing, what else is stinging on different weapons, and it never worked. Let them do some damage. Okay, I'm in the nerd rage now, my damage will be consistent. And now let's shoot one of them. 49 damage. Keep this in mind, 49 damage. I'm swapping the weapon. Short handmade, stock version, just crafted. 49 damage. Now, is armor penetration not working at all? That was my tough as well. Let me toss in tank killer. Okay, tank killer. Clearly, more damage, 58. 58 damage with tank killer. Zero effect from the magazine. It just increases your AP cost. Other magazine like perforating increase AP cost and give you absolutely nothing. Same with piercing and stinging magazines. That's a bad news. Good news is, I was thinking, what about the anti-armor legendary mode? This is clearly working. It increases damage. And now I want to show you some theory behind all those numbers and when is it worth to use anti-armor and when not really. And I have this link to Fallout 4 damage calculator from one of my subscribers, nickname Machete. Thank you for this link. And I was checking the numbers, of course. I will not show you something that I never tested. It is for ballistic weapons. And I tested it in-game versus multiple enemies, and it seems to be working and it's very accurate. Then most likely the same formula F was used in Fallout 4 is still in use in Fallout 76. Then now what does it mean? Then all those numbers are for 300 damage per shot and versus armor, and here the first line it's for 0 armor penetration. Second one is for tank killer, 35% armor penetration. And the last line is for tank killer combined with anti-armor. Then 67.5 total armor penetration. Because armor penetration is multiplicative, what means you do not add it together. If you already have anti-armor on your weapon and then you add tank killer, then tank killer will add only half of what it normally do, then 17.5%. And now how to read this graph. First, let's say you don't have any armor penetration. You are fighting something like Glowing Mole Miner. Glowing Mole Miner have 100 damage resistance. Then you look up, you will be able to do with 300 base damage 224 damage without any armor penetration. Going for tank killer, you will improve your damage to 262. Then it is some improvement, but nothing crazy. Your damage improvement will be like 17%, then about half of your armor penetration. And it's usually true. Usually you are getting like, if you are getting 30% armor penetration, your damage is going up by like 15%. It's approximate. Usually true, but there are some exceptions. Like, you can see those flat line. I don't know why it make like that, but it's true. I tested it in game. At some level of enemy armor, you just do your maximum damage. only after enemy armor is going above that like in this case, if your damage is 300, then only when enemy armor is above 50, it starts stopping any of your damage. If it's below 50, you are doing full damage without any armor penetration. It's one of the reasons I said that anti-armor is not good for melee weapons when I was buying weapons from Purveyor. Because if your damage is going above 1000 per hit, then there need to be really crazy armor to stop even a single point of your damage. If you add tank killer, you can go up to 70, a little bit over 70 armor, and you are doing full damage. Then if you want to add anti-armor weapon and tank killer, then you are close to 150 armor and you are still doing full damage. I will post a link to this calculator into the video description if you want to check your numbers and to see if you want to get more armor penetration. But in most cases, adding more damage is more efficient than adding more armor penetration. Just let me show you now what will happen if I will raise it to 600 damage. Keep in mind, if you want to put your damage in here, and if you are playing like a stealth build, then you need to multiply your damage from a Pip-Boy by your sneak attack multiplier. Let's see for 600 damage. It is doable with a stealth commando build to get such a damage from just a sneak attack. Then look what happened now. Without any armor penetration, enemy need to have over 90 armor to start stopping any of your damage. Then, if you use tank killer, enemy need to have almost 150 armor to stop stopping any of your damage. Then, if you have anti-armor and tank killer, it's go up to over 280, and most of the enemies have below 200 armor, with exception on some really tanky big enemies. And Scorchbeast Queen will be a little bit different because apart from her 300 armor, there is 70% damage reduction applied before the armor. Then basically what I can say, if you have a choice like to go for anti-armor weapons or add 50% damage, let's say from junkies, adding 50% damage will always be better than adding 50% armor penetration. Okay, what I want to show you in this example. Let's say you have anti-armor weapon, you are using tank killer, you are doing 300 damage. Your other option is junkie's weapon that will boost your damage to 450. You will lose the armor penetration from anti-armor effect, but you can use tank killer. Whatever you will choose, as you can see this line, even if you will choose to go without any armor penetration, the junkie weapon will outclass the anti-armor weapon with a tank killer. Then even crazy armor penetration will not be better than just the junkie's effect. One other very quick comparison, let's say you can use mutant's weapon or anti-armor weapon, then as you can see, those will be very close. Anti-armor will win, but only slightly versus enemies with higher damage resistance. And the mutant's weapon, it's the weakest option you can have. Then basically anti-armor weapon is only slightly better than mutants. My damage at this moment, 1040. It's unarmed, I'm not even a spec at this moment fully to do maximum possible damage. There is one super mutant that just killed me. Let's see, I don't want to power attack him, just regular attack. He's 137 armor. I'm doing 1031, it's margin of error, but I'm doing full damage. If I will add an armor penetration, I can do it. I'm adding now Incisor, 75% armor penetration. Let me find another super mutant. And I'm doing 1040. So you can see I'm doing the exactly same damage as I have on my page, on my Pip-Boy stat, and I did equip Incisor. It doesn't do anything if your damage is already really high per hit. Just a short disclaimer, I didn't finish my testing on energy weapons yet. I still need to figure out if it's worth a little bit more or not, but from my initial testing, increasing damage is better than increasing your armor penetration if you have choice. If you need to choose between higher damage or nice 50% armor penetration, usually higher damage is better even if its damage is like 25%. Half of the armor penetration in raw damage, it's better. It's a simple deal like that. To quickly and as simple as possible summarize the armor penetration and its issues. Don't go for any armor penetrating magazine. Those doesn't work and those give you penalty to AP cost in VATs. That's a big deal. Next, anti-armor weapons. If you consider like anti-armor rifle or a heavy gun, you look at that as bonus around 20%. You can compare it to flat 20% damage bonus in most scenarios. It's not exactly and always, but in most situations, anti-armor is similar to 20% damage bonus. With a one big exception, if you are using an armed weapon or powerful melee weapon with really high damage per shot, it will apply to ranged weapons as well if your damage per shot is close to 1k or above 1k. You don't want anti-armor because it will give you nothing. You are already doing maximum possible damage. If you have any questions, please feel free to go down into the comments section, ask them. I will try to answer as soon as I can. And at this moment, thank you a lot for watching, and as always, see you guys in the next one.